What's up, guys? Chris Brown from Train Boston coming at you with another wellness moment. Today, I want to talk to you about how you can help your kids or kids in your life and your peers with fitness and nutrition, and how you can use this to improve your wellness. To explain this, we first need to talk about the human condition. By nature, humans are social beings. We learn by copying each other and by grouping information. When given the option, we'll choose to stand in a group rather than alone, and we'll often do what other people are doing around us just to be similar. We're even rewarded for this with a hormone called oxytocin. Sometimes they call that the social hormone. Children specifically learn by watching and emulating others. They learn to survive and grow by grouping events and people into good or bad, dangerous or safe, exciting and novel, or boring and mundane. They reinforce these beliefs through repeated behaviors that they observe. Everyday behaviors they see from others, especially those in their social group, will become behaviors that they are likely to exhibit frequently, positive or negative. If they see someone they don't like do something, they're a lot less likely to do it. But if they see someone they idolize and respect do something, they're very likely to do it as well. And whether we believe it or not, as adults, we're very much the same, except our behaviors are even harder to change. We've done something for so long that it's much harder to break that connection that we have, as well as the fact that we have less restrictions. We don't have parents, we don't have as many bosses, we don't have police telling us what to do all the time, unless you're in a jail or something like that. However, this can be good and bad. Your friends, your family, your coworkers, and even random people in your gym will, at some point, do something because they see you doing it. Sometimes people talk about FOMO, or fear of missing out. This is a huge driver in why people do things, specifically because they see people doing it around them. As I said, this can be good and bad. Think, how often do you give someone advice and then turn around and not actually follow it yourself? Your peer or your kid, well, they see that, and they maybe are likely to look at that behavior and say, hey, maybe I don't want to follow this behavior. If this guy who's giving me advice isn't following it, then why should I? Your actions speak very loudly, and sometimes your words are not heard when they see your behaviors don't sync up. We're all guilty of this. You may rationalize sometimes that you're good enough at something, you don't need to work at it. Or maybe that you're in charge, so it's not needed. Someone should just listen to you. But ultimately, you know you should be following that advice as well. Why else would you advise it? So, how do we use this information to help ourselves? Sometimes the best way to figure out how to help yourself is to help others first. For me personally, I find that I'm way more motivated when I'm doing something for my family and my peers and my coworkers and my clients than I am when I'm doing it just for myself and just for vanity reasons. In my journey of helping others, I found this is the key to helping myself, and I think it can help you too. You too can set a good examples through your behaviors. This way, your kids, your peers, or your coworkers, they'll find it especially easy to make the right decisions because they see others around them, specifically you, doing the right stuff. So let's go through 8 things that we can do to make good behaviors easier for you, your friends, and your family. In this approach, I'm going to assume that you are the good role model. Number 1, know your role as a parent, as a friend, as a coworker. Don't try to overstep. When you're talking about children, your role is to shop for food, to make fitness or fitness training or sports available to them. You have to prepare the food. You have to readily make transportation to fitness, to sports available. You have to provide meals at a structured set time, as well as make sure exercise is available at structured times. Oftentimes it's right after school, otherwise they can't do it at all. And you have to make sure that both these things, fitness and nutrition, are enjoyable, happy experiences. If their first experience, especially, is a good one, they are more likely to want to do it over and over and over again. They got to see a little bit of success and have a little bit of give and take, or else they'll be likely to not want that experience ever again. What the kid is trying to do, all they have to do is they have to decide whether to eat or whether to exercise. They have to decide what foods to eat and which sport or what event they want to play and partake in, and decide how much to eat or how much they would like to exercise. That's pretty straightforward. Make sure you don't try to tell them exactly what they have to do. Let them have some control. With your friends, what you can do is you can suggest cooking and hosting versus going out to eat. You can suggest working out or doing something physically active while you're hanging out. You can suggest healthy options when you actually do go out to eat. Or you can prepare healthy options at your hangouts. Make sure they're readily available. Have a pre made workout ready to go. Or at least decide what event you're going to play and know that it's going to be ready to go by the time you get there. Make these things low stress for your kids, make them low stress for your coworkers and your family and your friends, and they're going to be a lot more likely to partake, and they're happy to watch what you're doing and emulate it. Number 2, be the good example that people want to follow. So with your kids, pretty straightforward stuff, but we don't tend to practice what we preach a lot. When you sit down to eat slowly, be mindful, chew your food. I personally have a little trouble with this because I'm often in a fast mentality. Don't be distracted by technology or by work at all while you're eating. Put your phone somewhere else, put your tablet somewhere else, no TV near your table. Make sure you're actually paying attention. It's really hard to do that today. Even a smartwatch can be distracting. Take it away. Try new foods and be positive even if you don't like it. Talk about why you're trying new foods. Talk about the benefits of these foods. But don't make a face. Don't say, oh, this is terrible. Your kids are going to see that. They're going to start doing that. Same thing can happen with friends. All right? Eat more foods that are nutritionally dense. Now, that's maybe a loaded question if you don't know that answer. But we're talking fruits, vegetables, that kind of thing. Even some kind of like a grass-fed ground beef or a farm-raised chicken egg that's free-range chicken. Just try to eat more things that have more to them, less processed foods, okay? And stop eating when you're full. Don't wait till you're stuffed. A lot of people grew up with their family telling them, you need to finish everything on that plate. And that led to a lot of disordered eating to the point where people just have to finish everything on their plate, and it leads to overeating, and they feel stuffed. That's not a good place to be. Now, with your friends, say you go out to a restaurant. You can suggest a healthier location, which you can look up menus online in advance and see what they have. You can also use that to see if it's food that you actually like. You can look up reviews to see if it's a good restaurant. Order water with all your meals. Make sure you get some water in before you start to eat the food. That can help you feel full, but also being hydrated is a good thing. Decline to order bread at your table. Tell them to take it away right away if they bring it. You just don't need it. It's going to fill you up. You're not there for the bread. Order a healthy option. So if you're going to order the healthy option, you probably should jump in first and order your option. Maybe you butt in and say, hey, no, I'm going to have this meal. I'm going to have the salmon, for instance, and I'm going to have a side of vegetables. Then your friend may be more likely to change their mind or just order something better and be like, oh, okay, that sounds good. That sounds tasty. And you can be positive about it. Be like, yeah, this sounds really delicious, so I'm going to try this. Ask to substitute fries for veggies or side salads. This is pretty easy to do. Most of the time, they'll do that for you, no problem. And oftentimes, you're going to get a tastier meal for it. Decline extra drinks, appetizers, or desserts. This is easy. You should be full. You should be satisfied. You shouldn't need more. But oftentimes, if one person says, no, we're good, the other person doesn't interject and says, okay, we're good. Don't be distracted by tech while eating. Same thing. You're there to hang out with your friends or be with your family. Just put the phone down. Again, unless it's relevant to what you're doing right at that moment, put the phone down. But even so, you don't want to be chewing food while looking at your phone. You're going to start to just eat mindlessly and not even think about it. Again, eat slowly, chew, put down your silverware, engage with your friend, engage with your family. That will help you. For fitness, make sure you're prepared. Have a written down routine that you follow. Write down sets, reps, loads, rate of perceived exertion. If your friends see you doing that, they're going to ask questions. Why are you doing this? Oh, where are you getting at? And you can be like, oh, hey, I'm beating a record today. I'm trying to set a PR, or get excited about it. And they're going to want to do that too. And that's a good habit for them to get into, is writing it all down. Schedule workouts and don't skip them for frivolous reasons. So if you're going to work out with your buddy, or if you're not working out with your buddy and you're telling them that you're going, they're going to see that you're diligently showing up to your workouts. That's going to be a great example for them. Warm up properly each time. Now, this is huge for your kids too. I like to build that into kids' mentality that workouts involve a warm up and that warm ups are specifically for what you're about to do that day. And I like to tell them, hey, this is good to prevent injury. It's good to get blood flow. It can be fun, right? And that will build a good base for your kids. But adults, we often try to skip and blow through these things. And with adults, you can say, hey, I haven't been having any shoulder pain since I did this, or you know what, my squats have been way better because I'm doing this specific warm up. Be mindful while you work out. It's the same thing as your food. Don't check your phone. Don't chat with random people. Don't get in a magazine, if people even use magazines anymore. Make sure you're paying attention. Timers can be a great way to stay on task with this for people who have a real hard time. Headphones on, timer on, get to work. Clean equipment and put stuff away. Now, this is just something you should do. Be a good person. You know, somebody has to clean that up later. Somebody has to touch your stuff later. Be a good person. Be a good example. Refrain from things that are drawing attention to other people's bodies or to your body. Don't flex in the mirror. Don't comment on other people's bodies, clothing, or don't be negative about others in general. Especially when kids see this and they want to be like you, they're going to start to do that stuff too. It's not good. But your friends as well. You may be making them feel really bad and not even realize it, or you may just be goading them to be more of the same. And you don't need more of that in this world. Number 3, be open to talking about feelings surrounding nutrition and fitness. Adults and kids both have anxiety surrounding both of these things, and they may or may not be open about it. Issues as kids become issues as adults, and when you're an adult, these issues become really difficult to overcome. For instance, many people were teased for their body types, being a little overweight or too skinny. Many people's families pressured them to eat more or eat less. For instance, men are often get pushed into eating more, eat more food like a man, eat more meat like a man. And women will often say, oh, I've been told I can't eat any carbs. I can't eat any carbs. All right. And also, certain sporting events specifically, they have you wearing form-fitting clothes like wrestling, gymnastics, swimming, and you can become really self-conscious about that, and that can lead to problems later on. Make sure you're just open to discussing these things with your kids and your friends. With men as adults, it can be especially tough, but all you have to do is say, hey, I've been through this before, and it was really tough. Just be honest and say, hey, I'm willing to talk about this stuff. You don't have to push anyone into talking about it, right? And even if everybody is open to talking about this, you're not a psychologist. Don't try to be one. Just be there, all right? Don't try to fix everything. Just listen and make it obvious you're open to hearing anything and you're not going to be mean. You're not going to be judgmental about it. That will do more than you ever know. And the fact that more people see that happening, especially with men opening up, the more it's going to be okay in the future with others. Number 4, explain and show how these good behaviors can lead to relevant skills and benefits. People in general are a lot more likely to make good choices when they know why it's relevant to them. With kids, you can say things like food high in protein is good for your muscles and it will make you strong. Or exercising will give you energy to play and have fun more frequently. With friends, it might be easier to give an example of past success. You could say, I worked out for the past year and now I can play on the ground with my kids pain-free. Or I started eating flaxseed and oats for breakfast and now every day I don't have any stomach pain or bloating or GI issues. Just be careful not to turn this into preachiness. Don't be too judgmental about it. Don't constantly be bragging about how good you are. It's just good to interject good habits and maybe build it into their success and be like, I heard you were struggling with this. This is something that's worked for me in the past. But you just don't want to be a jerk about it. So that can be a slippery slope. It can help to use examples, but make sure you're doing it the right way. Number 5, offer examples of how you can build workouts, meal plans, and give them some variety to pick from. So with kids, it helps to be interactive. You can let your kids help to pick what's on your shopping list. So first of all, you need to have a shopping list, and then the kids can help write it in, or they can help put it in there. And they'd be like, hey, mommy, we're missing this. And they can tell you to put it down. You write it down. Let them pick what type of meat or protein for dinner they're going to have, or what vegetable they're going to have. Give them some options. I like to lay out, we've got green beans, we've got snap peas, we got carrots, and let them pick that night. It's absolutely fine. And they're going to be more likely to eat it. Let them help you cook. When they make the food, they're a lot more likely to eat it. And also you can show them how it's healthy, and you're teaching them a useful skill at the same time. With friends, you could offer examples of what to eat, what you eat personally, and offer them to show you a recipe that you love. The same thing holds true for exercise. You don't want to worry about making an optimal plan with people who are a little tentative to work out. Even the best plan doesn't matter if people hate it. Give them an option that they find fun. Same goes with kids. Fun stuff like indoors, outdoors, sports, weights, cardio, groups, whatever, as long as it makes them happy and makes them feel comfortable and they're willing to get into it. Once they see results, after going a little bit, it will be a lot easier to add more variety or make a more in-depth plan. Number 6, be prepared ahead of time to make choices easy. So I've talked in the past about how grocery stores manipulate your minds. So we're going to try to use some of that for our advantage. In a grocery store, the things they want you to buy are at eye level. So for kids, things are down lower, and for adults, they're up higher. Well, make your household a little more like that, but not for what you want people to buy, but the healthier foods you want people to consume. Okay? So for the kids, you got to put food a little bit lower. You want to put food that you want them to eat, things like yogurts, hard-boiled eggs, cheese sticks, fruits, vegetables, maybe pre-packed meals that you made for them for the day. All right? Treats should not be near their sight. They should be out of reach, out of sight, and they should not be an everyday occurrence. Dessert is not part of your meal every day. It should not be. The same goes for an adults. We all know this, but we don't tend to always follow it. Again, we want to be a good example. And if you don't buy the bad foods, you're not going to eat them, right? If you don't buy the good foods, though, you won't eat those too. So you got to always make sure you have a grocery list that's consistent, that you bring it into your house and you have consistent places for those foods. Make decisions ahead of time and invite your friends when you have friends over so they don't feel compelled to make the choices for you. Same goes with workouts. Say, hey, we're going to go to Harvard Square, we're going to run those stairs, and we're going to do it for this long. And then they're just like, all right, cool, let's do it. Offer choices with fitness. Maybe when you go to Harvard Square, you say, hey, we can do this. We can run up the stairs double. We can sprint on the field. Or we can do burpees, or we can do squats. But it's going to be for this long, and it's going to be in this direction. Once you get to an event or to the gym, be ready to go with a couple different plans. That really helps. Provide easy avenues to exercise and lead by example. It's okay and even good to show that you're struggling sometimes, even as a leader, but stay on task and keep them to it. Number 7, this is a big one. Avoid trying to moralize exercise and nutritional behaviors. Be careful saying something's good or something's bad. It goes with training as well. While you should always critically look at everything, finding the positives first is always a good practice, especially with things you really don't like. For example, CrossFit is good because it uses timers, keeps people on task, has a good sense of community, and it gets people to do Olympic lifts more frequently. The paleo diet is good because it's high in protein. It removes processed foods. There may be things you don't like about both of those, but there's good takeaways from both of them. So don't just trash on it, because if someone holds those things dear and you trash on it, they're shutting off. They're not listening to you anymore. Try to explain what works and why. Maybe explain why it worked for you. Maybe explain why it didn't work for you. Don't make anyone feel bad for eating food for pleasure or fun, or avoiding certain food just because they don't like how it made them feel. Same goes for cultural eating habits. Don't make people feel bad for eating a different type of food. That's just what they grew up with. Tying emotions to exercise or eating can lead to destructive behaviors, especially with children. I always like to say, never punish with exercise, never reward with food. These are part of our lifestyle. They're not punishments and rewards. And finally, number 8, don't let perfect get in the way of good. Life hardly ever works out perfectly, and that's okay. That's normal. I like to talk about what I call Instagram syndrome. You might see others who always seem perfect, but that's just the image they want you to see. They didn't let you see the struggle that got you there. For instance, this video today, it screwed up. I had to delete it and redo it, and you're just going to see this one. Now, I ruined it by telling you, but you're seeing the perfect. This was not perfect. I was very frustrated, and I got a little mad, but I fixed it, turned it around. Showing your flaws and struggles can be freeing, but it also makes others feel better with their struggles. So be open to that. Be open to struggling. Be open to being wrong. As with most things on your journey to wellness, slow incremental progress works really well. You don't need to make big leaps and bounds. Confucius has a quote. He says, "It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you don't stop moving." It's a very good one. Hopefully you found these 8 steps helpful towards helping others. And in helping others, hopefully you'll be able to really help yourself. That's all I have for you today. Until next time, guys, be well. Thank you.